Okay, well, we can start. The first thing I wanted to ask you about 1Me was the OSD services pull request.
Yes,
You
I
saw that comment. Um,
yes, I saw it. Okay, and now I understand what is the general idea. Okay, so let's go to have only one OSD service for all the unmanaged OSD diamonds, and let's put all these diamonds into this service. Okay, and the thing that I'm going to do is, when we try to delete this service, to put a message reporting that this is not possible, that you
yeah,
need to remove these OSDs in order to do that. Okay, and I think that it's clear now how to proceed. So thank you for the suggestion.
does OSD.unmanaged seem like a
Yes,
good name? Okay,
yes, I think that is a good name. Yes.
and then should we allow you to delete other if you have OSD.foo, like for some other drive group, or should we allow that to be deleted if they're still OSDs?
Well, the same behavior is just to inform that the service is going to be deleted as soon as you delete the individual OSDs manually. I think that is the way to proceed
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
moment.
okay. I
Okay.
think that makes sense. Okay, it'll just go
Okay.
away. But that means that that it needs to that service only be deleted if all of
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. There is a pull
okay,
request from Sebastian that deleted the service without deleting the OSDs, but I think that is worse, okay? Because
yeah, yeah,
this is going to cause confusion, okay? So
yeah,
I think that
because yeah,
the way to proceed is just to show the services that cannot be deleted until you delete manually the OSDs,
yeah,
and the same behavior in both kind of services.
yeah. And if you really, really want to clean it up, you can delete the config key entry directly, but probably don't want
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah. Okay. That makes good. Makes sense.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, so there was another pull request somewhere in here that was changing it so that when we run Ceph volume, we use the same container version as the manager. Does anybody know what the status of that was? I guess this is a question for Sebastian. I thought that pull request was working its way through, but I never actually saw it merge.
Well, I remember something about that, but I think that finally it was not merged yet, or we don't finish with that. Okay.
Okay.
But it seems a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll ask Sebastian when he gets back. Um, Yeah, if nothing else, the current code, like it retries without that batch filter by batch or whatever argument. So it works, but it still spams the log with all the error messages, which are confusing during upgrade. So it's be nice to have the other one in there. Um, okay. And then the last thing I had on my list was I went to go look at the HARGW service, both because I'd never looked at it before, so I didn't know how it worked. And I wanted to make sure that it worked with the new ports stuff. I opened a pull request to fix the ports thing, so now the HA proxy config is adjusted so it binds to the right port based on how whatever the new daemon description, now that Ceph ADM is tracking what ports RGWs bind to, and you can have multiple per host, it'll properly populate that. So that's the easy part. But I think there's like a larger issue with how the service is designed. Um, do you know who wrote that initially? Where did that come from?
Is the it come from us, Sage,
Yeah, from everybody.
Daniel,
Okay,
Adam, and
Daniel.
myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I had a couple concerns about it. So the the thing that bothers me is that it takes the HA proxy part and the keep alive part and it smashes them together into one service.
Yeah.
And it seems like there are instances where you'd want to run just HA proxy or just keep alive D, and you might want to use them separately from RGW. So for example, you might want to have two HA proxies in front of a bunch of RGWs and then use round robin DNS. Like you might not want to use the keep alive D with a virtual IP, for example. That seems like a valid use case. You might also want to use HA proxy with something other than RGW. Like you could use HA proxy with NFS, I think. Actually, I'm not sure about that.
No.
Can't do that, but you
Only
can.
with RGW.
Okay, but you could use HA proxy, or sorry, you could use keep alive D with NFS. Like you could have a virtual IP in front of the NFS server, or even CIFS once they support that too, and not use HA proxy in that case. So that was one thing. The other thing is you can right now it takes every RGW daemon in the cluster and it puts those all in the HA proxy config. But you can have multiple zones, RGW zones, that are serving totally different data, and so you need to be able to tie it to a particular service.
Yeah.
I tried to deploy it locally to test it, but I ran into problems because the two machines I have different names for the NIC, the Ethernet interface, and there's a single option that determines what the name of the
Yes.
interface is that's used by Keep ID, and so I couldn't actually use it. Yeah. And then it ran into some other issue where it kept like trying to deploy the keep alive D part, and then it would fail, and then it would delete it, and so I couldn't actually see what was going wrong. It looked like there was some issue with the way that it was getting scheduled or whatever, but I wasn't really sure.
Okay, a lot of changes.
Yeah, well, I guess I looked at the whole thing, and then I stepped back, and I'm wondering if it makes more sense to make it two separate services. One that's just HA proxy, that does the HA proxy part. I mean, I think it's basically just a matter of taking that code and just like putting it in two separate files, and then having another one that's just the keep alive part, and then adding so you say which service it is that you're layering in front of, because then you could use the virtual IP with NFS, keep alive D. You could deploy HA proxy without the virtual IP stuff, which in my case wouldn't work, but it would still be useful.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess that was, yeah.
Our aim was to do something similar to the functionality that we have now in Ceph Ansible, okay? That, to provide a list of parameters and to configure all the system, okay? In order to make more transparent or to avoid any kind of configuration, thinking in configuration for the final user, okay? But obviously it's more flexible in the way that you are suggesting, okay? So we can change that. Let's go to do the change.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to check with everyone to see before. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that it's all like one go, but I don't know that it'll be that much harder to separate it into two pieces for the user because there's still like 20 different parameters that you have to fill in for the configuration. The other thing was that like you have to specify all the users and passwords in the service spec YAML in order for it to work. I wonder if we should just like automatically generate those if you don't fill in a specific one, random values, something like that.
Okay, this is more problematic because we should report the passwords to the final user, or it's something that is going to be secret.
Yeah. I mean, they can get stored in config key. We'd have to. Yeah, I don't know. You have to think about that.
Or maybe the other way that we are doing this kind of things is providing a file with the password and reading the file directly, not the password in the spec file. Okay, this is, for example, the way to pass password parameters in the dashboard, for example, or even in the orchestrator.
Yeah. I mean, in the documentation, if it's in a deterministic location in config key, we can just show in the documentation. If you didn't specify a password, you can see the auto-generated one by running Ceph config key get manager Ceph ADM blah blah blah, whatever it is.
Okay.
But that's a small thing, I guess.
I don't know. Adam, Daniel, do you want to comment something about that? Because we are directly affected by this change, okay?
I don't think everything you've said so far, Sage, sounds all good. So I can't come up with any bad scenarios based on the changes you want to make. So I think it's all good. And like you said, it shouldn't probably be that easy or be that hard to separate that file into two different.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the hard part was figuring out all the config file templates and everything. Like that's all basically fine. It's just a matter of figuring this out a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, the other thing I noticed was that the code in Ceph ADM, I think this is the only case where the service, like the spec service, produces two different types of daemons. And I noticed that there's a bunch of like complexity in the code to like deal with that one situation. I don't know if that's not going to come up later, but it would simplify things a little bit. I think that's actually the source of the bug that I was seeing, where it kept deleting the daemon, because I think the daemon type didn't match.
Yeah, this one was definitely different because there was like the two services. I think the only other thing that does that is iSCSI, but they do it differently because they deploy it. Or I think it's iSCSI. There's like the TCMU runner container that also gets deployed at that, but they do that. That's deployed differently because that's just one service, like an add-on container.
Like one container. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, okay. Okay. Well, I might take a stab at that if I have some free time. Probably just like not touching the HARGW at all, but just creating a new HA proxy one and then copying the code over. And then I think once all that stuff works, then we can delete the old one and or convert automatically between the two or something. But yeah. Anyway, okay. That's pretty much all I have. I think the only other real item on the list is the OSD memory auto configuration, auto tuning, which I kind of like tabled a while back. But I think that's the main thing that I know of that's, aside from, I guess, the HRGW, that's a gap between what Ansible does and what Ceph does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that
all the urgent bugs are closed. Kind of cool. So I think overall we're looking pretty good. I think the main failure I'm still seeing in QA is that stupid catatonic. There's like 3 bugs that are from the Ubuntu 2004 cubic version of Podman that keep popping up. That's the main failure I'm still seeing. So that's good. So, yay. Decent shape. I guess probably the next big pile of work to do is Rook. I don't know if anybody's actually like tried to run recently, like in the last few weeks, like try to use the Rook Orchestrator thing, and
yes.
I don't know how much. I don't know what the status is. I don't know how much works and doesn't work.
Well, it runs, okay, and okay. We have the basic functionality, okay. I tested, I think that 1 month ago, more or less, because it was a bug that prevents the integration test in the Rook project to run, okay. And I fixed the problem, and well, at least it starts, it is available, and it provides the basic functionality, okay. But we need to test with overall the functionality related with different services, RCW, NFS, object, blocks. So I think that well, is the next big point to start. Okay, maybe what I think is that probably we can start with that in April. Okay, I think that Pacific is going to be dev freeze in this week, or
Basically this week. Yep.
yeah.
Fully
Okay.
frozen. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that well, we can expect to have a limited number of bugs or problems also in downstream. Okay. So maybe it's time to start also to do new things. And one of the first thing that we need to do, obviously, is Rook, because we are, well, the difference in functionalities is big.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
I was just going to add, though, our plan is as when we have our new employee starting the first, that at some point we're going to transition you off, me onto Rook, correct?
Well, I want, I would like to do that, okay, and to move to the Rook Orchestrator, even to start to do things in the Rook project, okay. But this is open, okay, so more people can work in the Rook Orchestrator. So
I agree, as we discussed last week. I mean,
yes, it's what I want to do. So, but.
So Sage, we will have someone starting on it hopefully soon, and overall though there is no downstream need at this point, so it's really more of an upstream discussion.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so it shouldn't be a big deal, and over time we just got to balance all of our existing work with it, and hopefully we still have some help with Michael and others. I'm not sure if Michael will transition over to Rook as well, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, Francesco and John are present, okay, from the OpenStack team. I don't know if, do you want to comment something?
No, I'm just here listening.
Okay. Oh, I
wanted
to tell you guys
for your support, and Triple O is using Ceph ADM, and thanks for helping merge that fix recently. So everything's good, and thanks for working on those new features you were talking about. We'll look forward to them in Pacific.
You saw the subnet thing is in there now, as well as the RGW port assignment scheduling stuff.
Hey, I just saw this the pull request that got merged, so we should be able now to specify the network for RGW, right?
Yes.
I just saw that a few minutes ago, so I didn't have too much time to check what changed. But as far as I understand, it's not a spec field, but a top level field of the spec, the network key. And that's something we are going to test soon. We are trying to, we switched, as John said, we switched the OpenStack CI on using Ceph ADM just for the RBD. And now we're trying to integrate more services. RGW will be the first one with the new containers and the pending Ceph ADM bit for Pacific that now we are able to build on CBS, on CentOS. So we'll keep you posted on that. Sure, for sure.
Okay. I
think
the only gotcha on the network thing is the network CIDR name has to match the one that's on the host exactly, like the netmask has to match.
Yeah, I have just one question on this feature. Is it the same for all the other daemons, or is just for RGW?
Just RGW right now. It's the only one that's doing IP assignment like that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
For the other daemons, for the Ceph daemons, you set the public network Ceph config option.
Yeah, no. Sorry. For the other daemons, I had in my mind just the Ceph dashboard, the monitoring stack, basically.
Stack daemon. Yeah, those ones don't understand it, do anything.
Yeah.
But we can add support eventually. If there are specific ones you're worried about or whatever, just let us know and we can.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your support so far.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So Triple O OpenStack Wallaby is going to GA soon, but we're trying to time it so that the default version of Ceph is Pacific But I know Pacific comes out soon, and then hopefully there'll be enough time of testing in between that we can switch the default version to Pacific. Presently, it's Octopus. So when Pacific comes, we'll test it with that and try and switch the default with W.
Okay. Yeah, the expected .0 release is Monday, next Monday for Pacific.
Awesome. But I think we can just make it. Thank you.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.